Hey guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to check out a gaming PC that I built here once again with the Xeon kit. The idea here was not to spend too much and see if it's useful for anything. Usually on Saturdays and Sundays, I try to bring diverse content but within the theme of the channel, and in today's case, it would be performance with good value for money. A PC like this one, nowadays, will cost between $180 and $240, give or take, as the price varies a lot, and that's without a screen, keyboard, and mouse, but let's check it out. The idea is that it will run some games for people to have fun. Casual gamers, at the end of the day. They don't want to spend a lot, they want to get home and enjoy some gameplay. They don't mind playing in full HD on medium or low settings in some games, even if they're more current games. So overall, it's a gaming PC that, in my opinion, brings a lot of joy. And if that's really the case, we'll see in today's video. If you like it, you know what to do, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Alright guys. This PC here is the following, okay? What are we going to have here? It's a configuration, actually, that we tried to optimize based on price and good performance. So now, let's see how it was put together, starting with the motherboard, an X99 that costs $44. Here you have the option to buy it with the CPU and 16GB of RAM for $64, but in my case, it's just the motherboard. Now let's talk about the CPU, which will cost less than $5, an Intel Xeon E5 2640 with 8 cores and 16 threads, clocked at 2.6 GHz. As for memory, we will have 2 with 8 GB of DDR4 at a cost of around $30. With that, we have the motherboard, CPU, and memory. Now let's move on to storage. This is somewhat optional, but no less than 128 GB, and in this case, 256 costs less than $15. This brings us to a total of $92. Now let's talk about the GPU, where the cost will increase significantly, as an RX 580 with 8 GB of memory will cost around $93. Of course, if you search more carefully or opt for a used or refurbished one, the price will drop significantly, but there is also a risk. So now we are already at a cost of $185. Now let's move on to the power supply, and 500 watts is sufficient here at a cost of about $39. The CPU needs ventilation, so this one works well at a cost of $15. Finally, we have to choose the case that will house this hardware set, in this case, the computer case, and I have to say that this is a personal choice, but it should be spacious enough, and this one from Redragon is a good choice, but again, there are cheaper ones, obviously. With all that, we end up with a total of $298.97. You may be wondering, what about the keyboard and mouse? Well, there is a wide range, from $15 to around $50, depending on the brand and lights and such. What about the screen? A 24-inch screen costs around $80. So, we can say that would add about $100 to the total. Okay, let's move on. That's the PC from today's video. Now we just need to run some games and see what it can do, right? Let's do it. Alright folks. PC configured, assembled, looking good. And you're already seeing the first game we're going to test here now, which is God of War Ragnarok. So, it's in full screen, but I've already enabled upscaling using FSR 3.1 in the game, in quality mode. So, it will actually render at 1696 by 952, a little below full HD, and will display on this Quad HD screen. Frame generator turned off, I didn't enable that for now. And the preset is on low. And here's the thing, the CPU is staying below 50% most of the time, the GPU is being used almost entirely, and the memory is being used at close to 12 GB. And the GPU memory consumption is around 50%, or a little more. Although it's not giving 60 frames per second, it's the kind of game you can play at around 30, right? Or around 40, as is the average here, which isn't bad. The frame rate varies between 40 and 50, so for me, it's playable. So let's switch games and now it's Counter-Strike 2. Counter-Strike 2 is a game that isn't so heavy graphically, but it does require a lot from the CPU, right? Not in terms of the number of cores, but in terms of performance and single thread to render well. And it gives a lot of frames per second, right? To be more competitive here, you need more frames per second. The game is set to run in full screen at screen resolution, which is Quad HD. And it's on the low graphics preset. Here the CPU is at around 30% usage. The temperature is good too with the clock going up. The CPU here, as the single thread power is not the best, does not give as much FPS. This is already a very traditional feature of Xeon's. And that's what happens with most older processors too, right guys? Main memory consumption is okay, but GPU memory consumption is at 5 GB and varying. Our average has remained at around 85 frames per second during this time. That's around 80, which I think is good. I can already be competitive in this game. 1% low at 51 frames. Above 30 with some leeway, right? If it stayed at 60, it would be better. What do you guys think? Leave your comments below, I want to know. And that's it for today's video. Thanks for the support, as always. It's a low-cost computer that you can have fun with if you don't need to run all games on Ultra or close to it. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.